Life seems to get a vacation from war on this planet. All the trees are covered in brilliant green, and the breeze lightly carries the sense of the season. But... Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Xardion. In the last part, we continued through the game and went through most of the stages on the world map, and now we're in this place where things are really funky, and this is creepy. I don't like this. However, as usual, Panthera's invincibility shield completely neuters it. What's with this planet? It's a death trap. Everything you see is only a simulation. By the way, right there we got the 4th special for Triton, which is a reflective laser. It basically works like Gemini laser from Mega Man 3, bouncing all over the place. Only it's somehow less useful because it does even less damage. If this planet really is a living thing, then its interior would be... You can't be serious. This particular screen is fairly dangerous because the enemies are pretty hard to hit and they have a good bit of health, so be careful there and just use the invincibility play. Oh, wow, that's gross. At this point, I should note, if you check the world map by using Start and Select, we are on NGC-1611. So we're on the place where the invaders are coming from. But this ain't even Torian level. This is just weird. In fact, the endgame here is a surprising difficulty spike because there's just a lot of enemies spammed at you. And the thing you should note is that the little pools there on the ground are, what's the word I'm looking for? Poisonous. They will damage you. We also got both Pantera's and Alcides' 4th specials there. Alcides gets the end shield, which is just the invincibility shield from Panthera on Alcides, so I guess if you prefer Alcides, this is a pretty good way to get through things. And Pantera's is Burst, which I'm going to show off here in a moment. How disgusting. Something that gross gives form to the something something. By the way, if you don't choose the middle pathway there, I believe you respawn at the top of the area. Hatred. The way this boss works is 2 phases. When you start off, you want to stand just barely to the left of the platform and then fire at the faces with grenade with Triton just to get as much damage in as you can. The way that Pantera's charge ability works is you hold down the special button that'll cause Pantera's main to glow. When you hold the button for about a second, you release a large beam of energy. Barring the charge up time and the decent ammo take-up, it's not bad, but you don't get much of a chance to use it, I guess, in the long run, given how close we are to the end of the game. Due to the lingering explosion effect of grenade, this is the best way to fight this boss, because you can damage upwards of 3 of these faces at a time. Each face has its own health bar, and you need to destroy all 5 to progress. You'll know when everyone's dead. Well, just by that, it looks like a skull now. It's actually fairly creepy. This fight also gets easier the farther in you get, because there's less teardrops being flung at you. At this phase, I recommend aiming towards the center face again just to damage all 3, and then crouch to hit the middle one. This boss gave me some trouble in the first playthrough just because of the amount of projectiles coming around at you, but nowadays, it's probably one of the easiest bosses in the game. However, upon destroying all 5 faces, you're not done yet. This creepy-ass thing comes out of the shell and fires a projectile at you one at a time. It can come out of various places in the sprite. However, this playthrough, it decided to come out basically in that one spot. This is also where shield probably gets the most use it could ever get for my playthroughs, because the projectile this thing shoots can be blocked by shield, making this fight a complete non-threat at this point. I just fired out some grenades to get some quicker damage in on there, because otherwise I'd be here for like 5 minutes. At this point, I believe I decided to bring back shield and just end the fight fairly quickly. I could use the missiles here, but at this point I'm just dedicated to not using as many sub-weapons just because overall, even the sub-weapons aren't too useful. The most useful sub-weapons are the ammo recharge and the health recharge, and even then I only recommend using those for boss fights, particularly endgame boss fights. And that's the boss. That was easy. And similarly to a couple other stages, we're not quite done with the stage yet. We do need to go through that little gross hole that we made in this thing. I believe at this point, by the way, that Triton is level 11. I think. Hey, do you see what's behind us? What is that? It's a wall of acid. Hydrochloric acid! Activate PRS, it's concentrated. This is a tight spot. AB ignition, approaching acceleration limit. Oh no, can we get away? Push the energy field to the maximum. How are we doing? No, we can't get away! Quick, change formation! Stop, we'll be swallowed up! We should be able to go, we should! Stop! Pantera, answer me! No good, he's been completely annihilated. Blast it, what a waste. Hey, there's a tunnel over there. Great, maybe we can get away. Increase speed. Thrusters open full. Shots fired. Stop. Don't shoot anymore. That's not the enemy. But it's Xardion, the legendary warrior made of white iron. It can't be. Legends tell that the Great War Machine was sealed in a cave similar to this. Don't you know the legends? When Fire used to go to war against another planet, they'd deliver a doomsday machine to the other planet to terminate hostilities. And that's Xardion? Yes, but I can't believe it's been sitting here all this long time. Hey, it's functional! What? Confirm power reactor. Confirm movement. It's alive! But where's the pilot? Xardion never had a pilot. It uses an artificial, cultivated, onboard live computer. You can just say artificial intelligence. Kids know what that is, guys. Fantastic. Then let's try to activate it. Begin initialization process. Connectors joining. Combining now. Yeah, my eyes. So Pantera's dead. A place like this is totally unnatural. There must be a leader somewhere. We better eliminate it quickly. But in the place of Pantera, we now have the namesake of the game, Xardion. And Xardion controls exactly like Triton, only the power is roughly tripled. And we have 3 of its specials off the bat. We got the Hyper Beam, which is basically the same as Triton's ACT Plasma, but it travels forward and it's more powerful. Lightning, which I believe is a screen nuke of sorts. And Spheron, which fires some things around you that I think bounce around lightly. It's the least useful ability that Xardion has. However, we're in the final stage where we don't quite have everything. In fact, we are in the final stage where I don't recommend going to the final boss yet because Xardion joins your party at level 1, so you need to train it up a bit to begin with anyway, because look at that pitiful health bar. However, not only that, but Xardion's also missing its 4th special. And to get that is a bit of a collection thing. We need to go back to all 3 planets, 1 stage in each, and get parts for the final special. And to do that, first off, we want to head to the 2nd level in the game, and head back down to this little boss that we probably forgot about at this point, and fire our Hyper Beam at its brain in the back. That's where we can damage it. This boss, by the way, only fires 2 projectiles at a time. In fact, it's a surprisingly easy boss. It probably has a lot of health, and that's why I don't recommend you fighting it, but you can fight it right now, no problem. And you get not only our reward for it, but you also get a lot of experience points. I believe you get, let's see, we started at 57. I think you get roughly 320, I want to say. Let's see, started at 57, now we're going to be at, I think it's at least 120. 320 rather. Oh no, not even. 200. Still, that's 3 levels. But it also drops this. Here it is. That is one piece of Xardion's final special. Now we need to go back to the other 2 stages in the game that had little secrets that we couldn't quite do anything with yet. And grab the other 2 pieces in order to grab Xardion's final special. The next stage we want to head back to is Hollow Sphere Stage 1, because you might remember they even shout this one out. At the end of this stage, there was that rose. And Alcides, or Pantera, talked about it. Now, if we come back here with Xardion, the 2nd piece is waiting for us. Alright, this is the one. And the 3rd one, they don't really give any idea that this is here, because you can come to this area, but it's not here beforehand. When we came down here in Fire Stage 1 beforehand, there was a little rock wall here. Now there's not, and we got the 3rd special. The 3rd piece for the 4th special, and now we have Light Arrow, which is an uber powerful laser that you fire forward even though it has a charge up time like this. Notable, Because the screen flashes every time you use light arrow, the rest of this part has a massive seizure warning because I'm going to be using that a lot. At this point, though, I go grind. I wanted to get Xardion up to max level, 900 experience points, and notable, not only does that increase my health and ammo a lot, but you also gain access to a more powerful projectile at that point. That's roughly triple the strength, I think. Everyone else is still the level they were beforehand, level 5 and 11, but that's what everything is looking like. Xardion and Triton are really the only two worth leveling up in this game. Now you can go below, but I recommend going up here. What's this? An artificial sun? No, luminescent microbes in the interior are merely gathering and giving off light. Let's destroy them so we can move forward. The way you do that is use the light arrow. This not only allows you to... Yeah, that's the other benefit. Getting the fourth special also allows you to just skip a good bit of this stage. The screen goes on below, but there's a more dangerous pathway. Up here, you just have to deal with a few enemies, and then you can just jump down. Hold left here, by the way, because I forget to. Don't have to find any extra enemies up there. No, you do. I see the egg, but it just allows you to skip that damage there. There's also, I think, an item up there that's like a health restorative or something. Where's this entrance? You just have to choose one of the three here. It's the middle one. I believe the other two will let you reset the stage. Sounds seem to come from all around you, and you hear an angry voice. Why are you crying? Crying? You're shouting at me so angrily, aren't you? You seem to be suffering. What is that all about? I don't know. Let's go look. God, that is awful, awful translation. Because we're at the final boss. And this is a long boss. The first phase just walks left to right and fires a couple of rocks at you every now and then. You can jump over it fairly easily, and overall, it's just an easy boss fight. Spam your projectiles, use a couple of arrows of light. You should have some ammo recharges at this point, so you don't have to feel too guilty about spamming it. And eventually, it explodes and becomes phase 2, which hugs the right side of the screen, but fires 2 projectiles at you. This one that tracks onto you somewhat, and one directly in front of it. However, a good way to neuter this phase is stand right about here and duck, and you never have to worry about getting shot. Light arrow is, again, very effective, and this is especially where the seizure warning comes in, because I'm using arrow of light a lot from here on. And now we're on to phase 3 already, which is probably the most annoying phase, because you can only damage it in the head. There are 2 shots. You can fire a projectile directly down to the left of it, which is trying to hit you if you're closer to it. But the body can also shoot out 2 homing projectiles. I believe the way you want to dodge that is by jumping slightly forward when they're about to curve. It's a weird arc, and this fight is probably the most annoying just because not only is the hitbox the smallest, but there's no way for you to directly spam shot it due to that. This is probably the phase where I've died the most when I played the game, because when I first played the game, I didn't max out Xardion's level. I was maybe about level 7 with Xardion when I went to the final boss, and that's not a bad idea, but I had so much less ammo. So it was a lot harder to do things. Plus, I didn't restock as much because I didn't grind. Because the grinding is less useful, honestly, for the experience and offense upgrades, and more so due to the items you can grab along the way, namely having upwards of 5, which is the max, by the way, for sub-weapons, ammo, or health recharges. Also, I like this final boss theme. In fact, it's probably my favorite theme in the game. And now we're on to phase 4, which is once again vulnerable at all sides. Should also restore my health and weapons at this point. This fight only has 2 attacks. It can summon a sphere surrounded by more spheres that will expand and warp trying to hit you. And the other one is another ring of energy, but it expands evenly. I think it also has a little strike attack, but I might be thinking of the next phase, because this is not the last phase. Also, it's now occurred to me that I've forgotten to mention at this point. Whenever you die in the game and you're sent back to the world map, when you go back into the level, only the robot that died has its health and ammo completely restored. Everything else has it as it was. Phase 5, the final phase, has 2 attacks. It can raise its hand and bring it down to summon a shockwave that'll travel along the ground, but it doesn't do too much damage, though, I should mention that. And it can also summon those same spheres again that just try to follow you, and they'll drop on towards you one by one. I believe a light arrow can destroy the spheres if you try to touch it with them. Yes, it can. But at this point, the fight's really easy because you can just stand in front of this boss and spam fire and get the occasional light arrow out. This game probably could have been harder, because as it is, it's kind of the wrong kind of easy in my eyes. Because there's just nothing interesting going on beyond the boss fight having so many phases. And that's game. Yeah, not even a really conclusive explosion effect for the boss fight. The enemy is still not dead. All right. We'll dot him now. We've got him now. Destroy him completely. Yeah, and it could have used a bit of a background in the text, because sometimes it's hard to read. You missed the enemy, guys. Hey, what's that? A capsule? Can you see what is inside? A woman? No. It cannot be. Did you say a woman? Awkward pause. All planets eventually die. One scientist applied his knowledge to avoid this. His work, Project New Frontier, created a living planet named NGC-1611. But the power of man is no match for nature's power. Another awkward pause. The project ended in failure. NGC-1611 began undergoing violent changes. It became a nest of monsters where people could not survive. The scientist gave the supercomputers final instructions. Protect my daughter. Eliminate all intruders. But she perished, and the supercomputers didn't know how to now obey their last orders. Finally, a hologram of the girl was found in memory. They projected it into this capsule, which became a shrine to her. It was to protect this image that the Guardians incited this terrible planet-wide war. What was that? You saw it too? Those images were projected from the dying Guardian. What was the point to all this fighting? And the loss of Pantera? Look, inside the capsule, the hologram is fading. Perhaps now all this war will end. "200 years later, a living planet. I wonder if life will return to this planet. Someday it may be green and beautiful again. Let's hope war is a thing of the past." Xardion! The legendary weapon sleeps here again. Maybe history will fade away into nature. And from here, the new story of NGC-1611 will begin. And that was Xardion. It's overall a fine game, but I will say it's probably the most mediocre out of the robot mecha-based games on the Super Nintendo. The music's not too memorable, the game is fairly sluggish, and while I think there's a good amount of depth to the mechanics thanks to the sub-weapons and the experience point system, it's overall not a very amazing game. There's a reason there's only one notable speedrun of it. With that said, if you want to play it, it's on the Super Nintendo, and I think that's about it. I don't think it ever got any virtual console re-releases. But I guess it's worth a look at least. I don't like the translation. You can tell they were trying to do some bullshit anime, war is bad, Gundam plot with it. But due to the translation, it just did not work out well. Though notable things, I brought up that Katoki, who worked on Gundam, worked on this game, but as did Gainax, the people behind, namely anime like Neon Genesis Evangelion and Gurren Lagann. So they're pretty familiar to the mecha genre as well. In fact, this game kind of reeks of some of their storytelling stuff. Overall, if you want a good mech game on the Super Nintendo, though, I'd still recommend Cybernator or especially Metal Warriors instead, because while I'm glad I played this and it's nice to see the game that I wanted to play a lot as a kid finally played, it's not amazing by a long shot. In a way, I guess I'm kind of disappointed because of that, but I gotta be objective here. It works well, there's not many glitches, it's just fairly sluggish. I almost kind of would have preferred it if it were a terrible game, though, because then it would be more memorable in a way, because there's not a lot to remember about the game. Which I guess is probably the worst fate it could have. Either way, as for what's coming up next, as usual, I'm going to be fairly impromptu about it. My list just has a lot of games on it listed. But with that, I'm going to end this Let's Play off here. Thank you guys for watching, have a great night, take care, and I'll see you guys next Let's Play, whatever that may be. See you guys then.